The sky above Harmony's Rest was burning. Sarah Chen stood outside the colony's main hall and watched the red streaks cross the darkness above. Each streak was a missile. Each explosion was a piece of their defense grid dying. She had seen this before, 15 years ago when the Kroll came to Earth. Back then she was a young officer in the Navy. Now she was just a farmer trying to forget. The ground shook. Another hit. Closer this time, everyone inside now. Governor Melthus stood at the door. His blue skin looked pale in the firelight. The Centaurian was terrified, and he had good reason to be. They all did. Sarah grabbed her daughter's hand. Maya was 12 years old, with her mother's dark hair and her father's green eyes. Her father was gone now, killed in the war with the Kroll. It was just the two of them trying to build a new life far from Earth, far from the memories. "Mom, what's happening?" Maya's voice shook. "Pirates," Sarah said. She kept her voice calm the way she learned in the Navy. "Bad people, but we'll be okay." She hoped that wasn't a lie. Inside the hall, 3,000 colonists packed together. Humans, Centaurians, Vex, Tolan, and a dozen other species. They had come to Harmony's Rest to escape war, to farm the rich soil, to live in peace. The colony was 40 light years from anywhere important. That was supposed to keep them safe. It didn't. Governor Melthus climbed onto the platform. His voice boomed through the speakers. "Everyone, please stay calm. Our defense grid has failed. The attacking fleet has identified themselves as the Crimson Void." Gasps filled the hall. Sarah's stomach dropped. She knew that name. Everyone did. The Crimson Void was the most feared pirate armada in this sector. They didn't just rob colonies. They took slaves. Thousands of them. "I have sent distress calls to all nearby systems," Melthus continued. "Help is coming! Liar!" someone shouted from the crowd. "No one will come for us. We're too far away." "The Centaurian Defense Fleet," Melthus started, "is 3 weeks away at best." The shouter was a Vex named Kroll. His forearms waved angrily. "The Tolan won't help. The Vaxis Union won't help. We all know this. We're alone." The crowd erupted in panic. Parents held their children. Old ones wept. Sarah felt Maya press against her side. Governor Melthus raised his hands. "Please, I have contacted everyone. Someone will respond. Someone will help us." But his voice lacked confidence. Sarah knew why. This far out, they really were alone. The big powers wouldn't risk ships for a tiny farming colony. The math was simple and cruel. 47,000 lives weren't worth a fleet engagement. Sarah pushed through the crowd toward the platform. "Governor!" Melthus looked down at her. "Sarah Chen, what is it?" "Let me send a message to Earth." The governor's face twisted in confusion. "Earth? Sarah, Earth is 40 light years away. Even if they wanted to help, which they won't, they couldn't arrive for months. We have perhaps 3 days before the Crimson Void lands troops." "I know," Sarah said, "but let me try anyway." Melthus stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Fine, the communications center is yours. Though I don't know what you think will happen." Sarah ran. Maya ran beside her. They crossed the compound toward the communications building. Above them, the bombardment continued. The pirates weren't trying to destroy the colony, Sarah realized. They were just making a point. They could kill everyone any time they wanted. The communications center was empty. Everyone else was in the main hall. Sarah sat at her old station and her hands moved over the controls. 15 years since she had done this, but the muscle memory remained. "Mom, what are you doing?" Maya asked. "Sending a message home," Sarah said. But the governor said, "I know what he said." Sarah typed quickly. "But there's something you need to understand about Earth, baby. About humans. We have a rule. It's called Article 7 of the Terran Charter." "What does it say?" Sarah smiled, though her eyes were wet. "No human left behind. No ally abandoned." She finished the message. It was simple. Direct. A distress call with their coordinates, their situation, their desperate circumstances. She included the colony population breakdown. 300 humans. 47,000 total colonists. Maya watched the screen. "Will they come?" "I don't know," Sarah admitted. "Earth was hurt badly in the war. Maybe they can't, maybe they won't, but I have to try." She hit send. The message burst into space at faster-than-light speed, racing toward Earth. It would take hours to arrive. A response would take hours more, if there was a response at all. The ground shook again, harder this time. Sarah and Maya went back to the main hall. The mood had grown darker. Governor Melthus announced that he had received responses from the nearby systems. All negative. The Centaurian Defense Fleet expressed sympathy but couldn't spare ships. The Tolan said they had no treaty obligation. The Vaxis Union didn't even respond. We're abandoned, someone wept. Hours passed. The bombardment stopped. That was somehow worse. It meant the next phase was coming. Sarah tried not to think about what that meant. She held Maya close and waited. At hour 24, a new ship appeared on the sensors. Huge. A dreadnought-class vessel, scarred and dangerous. It took position in orbit above the colony. A transmission came through. The voice was rough, amused, cruel. People of Harmony's Rest. I am Warlord Cressusthar of the Crimson Void. Your defense grid is destroyed. Your distress calls have been ignored. You are alone. The Warlord paused, and Sarah could hear the smile in his voice. You have 72 hours. Surrender yourselves for processing, or we will take you by force. Resistance means death. Compliance means service. Choose wisely. The transmission ended. Processing. That was the word they used for slavery. The hall erupted in chaos. Some people screamed. Others collapsed. Governor Melthus tried to restore order, but his voice was drowned out. Sarah checked her communications pad. Nothing from Earth, of course not. Not enough time had passed. Maybe there would never be anything, Mom. Maya's voice was small. Are we going to die? Sarah looked at her daughter. This brave, beautiful girl who had already lost so much. She thought about lying, about offering false hope. But Maya deserved truth. I don't know, baby, Sarah whispered. But whatever happens, we're together, okay? Maya nodded and buried her face in her mother's shoulder. The hours crawled past. 48 hours into the siege. 50. 60. The pirates broadcast messages showing what would happen to those who resisted. The images were terrible. Governor Melthus stopped showing them to the colony. At hour 68, Sarah sat alone at the communications center. She couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Maya was resting in the hall with the others. Sarah just stared at the screen, willing a response to appear. 4 hours left. Then the pirates would come. Then everything would end. The console beeped. Sarah's heart stopped. An incoming message. The origin point was impossible. The timestamp was impossible. But it was there. Her hands shook as she opened it. This is Earth Defense Coordination. Message received. Hold position. The fleet is coming. Sarah read it again. And again. And again. Her breath came in gasps. The fleet is coming, she ran. She burst into the main hall, nearly falling in her rush. Everyone turned to stare at her. They're coming, Sarah shouted. Earth is coming. They responded. Governor Melthus looked at her with pity. Sarah, please. Earth is too far. I don't care what's possible. Sarah thrust her pad at him. Read it. Melthus read. His eyes widened. He read it again. This is real, he whispered. But how? Even at maximum FTL speed, they would need weeks to arrive. We have 4 hours. Sarah felt laughter bubble up in her chest. Crazy laughter. Hope-filled laughter. I don't know, she said. But they said they're coming. Humans don't lie about Article 7. If they say they're coming, they're coming. The word spread through the hall like fire. Earth was coming. The humans' homeworld was sending help. It was impossible, but it was happening. Some of the alien colonists weren't convinced. They can't arrive in time, Kroll the Vex insisted. The laws of physics. Maybe humans don't care about the laws of physics, someone else said. Maya found Sarah in the crowd. Is it true, Mom? Sarah picked up her daughter and held her tight. Yes, baby. Earth is coming. Outside, the sky was dark and full of pirate ships, but somewhere, racing through the impossible distance, Earth's answer was on its way. They just had to survive 4 more hours. 3 hours remained. Sarah stood in the communications center and watched the countdown timer tick away. Governor Melthus stood beside her, his blue face creased with worry. They can't make it, he said quietly. Sarah, I want to believe, but the math doesn't work. 40 light years in 72 hours. No ship can move that fast. Earth said they're coming, Sarah replied. Her eyes never left the screen. That has to mean something. Melthus sighed. I hope you're right. For all our sakes. He left to address the colonists again. Sarah stayed at her post, monitoring every frequency, hoping for more information. Maya brought her a sandwich. You need to eat, Mom. I'm not hungry. You always tell me I have to eat even when I'm scared, Maya said. She pushed the sandwich into her mother's hands. "So eat." Sarah took a small bite. It tasted like dust, but she forced it down. Maya was right. She needed her strength. Whatever happened in 3 hours, she needed to be ready. "Mom," Maya said quietly, "tell me about the war. The one with the Kroll." Sarah looked at her daughter. She had avoided this topic for years. The memories were too painful. But now, with death hanging over them, maybe Maya deserved to know. "Sit down," Sarah said. Maya sat beside her mother's chair. Sarah stared at the screens and let the memories come. 15 years ago, the Kroll Empire decided they wanted Earth. They were stronger than us. Better ships, better weapons, more experience. We were new to space. We'd only had FTL travel for 30 years. We were like children playing with toys compared to them. What did they want? Our planet. Our resources. Our people as slaves. Sarah's voice hardened. The Kroll don't negotiate. They conquer. They showed up in our solar system with 500 ships and demanded surrender. Did we surrender? No. Sarah smiled without humor. We fought. And we lost. Battle after battle, we lost. They destroyed our orbital stations. They bombed our cities. They killed millions. Earth's government retreated to underground bunkers. Our fleet was down to maybe 50 ships, all damaged. Maya's eyes were wide. But you won. You're here. We survived, Sarah corrected. That's different. The Kroll commander made a mistake. He thought we were broken. He thought we would give up. So he sent a message demanding final surrender. He gave us 24 hours. Sarah remembered that day with perfect clarity. She had been on the bridge of the destroyer Defiant, one of the last surviving ships. Everyone expected the government to surrender, to save what was left. Instead, every leader on Earth sent the same message back, Sarah continued. Every president, every prime minister, every chairman. They all said the same thing. No, come and take it. What happened? The Kroll came, and we fought. Every ship, every gun, every missile. We lost 30 more ships in that battle, but we took down 90 of theirs. The Kroll had never faced anything like it. An enemy that refused to quit. That kept fighting even when they should have been broken. Sarah's voice grew softer. The Kroll commander withdrew. Not because we beat him, because he realized we would never stop. Even if he killed every ship, every soldier, we would fight him from the ground. From caves, from ruins, until there was nothing left. The cost to fully conquer Earth was too high, so they left. They left. And Earth learned something important that day. Being tough isn't enough. Being brave isn't enough. You need to be strong enough that no one wants to fight you in the first place. Maya was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "Is that why you think they're really coming? Because of what you learned?" Sarah nodded. After the war, Earth's governments changed. All the fighting between nations stopped. Everyone agreed on one thing: never again. Never be that weak again. Never be that unprepared. They took every resource, every scientist, every engineer and said, "Make us strong." Did it work? I don't know, Sarah admitted. I left Earth 10 years ago. I wanted peace, not more military life. But I know Earth was building something. New ships, new weapons, new technology. And I know that when Earth says they protect their people, they mean it. Article 7 isn't just words. It's a promise written in blood. The console beeped. Both of them jumped. Another message. This time it was from the Crimson Void. Sarah opened it with shaking hands. A video appeared on screen. Warlord Kresthar sat on what looked like a throne made of bones. His species was Krell, tall and scaled, with 4 eyes that glittered with cruel intelligence. "People of Harmony's rest," the warlord said. "I have heard your hope. You think Earth will save you?" How amusing, he gestured, and the camera turned. Sarah's blood went cold. It was a cell. Inside were children, 24 of them, various species, all terrified. And there in the front was a human girl, about 8 years old with blonde hair. "We have begun collecting samples," Kresthar continued. "The young ones are always most profitable. So cooperative once you train them properly." The camera focused on the little girl. She was crying. "We will collect more in 2 hours," the warlord said, "including from your main hall. I suggest you prepare your children. Make them understand their new purpose." The transmission ended. Sarah couldn't breathe. They had already started. They were taking the children. In 2 hours, they would come for more. For Maya. She ran to the main hall. The message had been broadcast everywhere. Parents held their children and wept. Governor Melthas tried to organize some kind of resistance, but what could they do? They had no weapons, no training. The pirates had ships and guns and experience. Sarah found Maya in the crowd. She grabbed her daughter and held her tight. "I won't let them take you," Sarah whispered. "I promise," but how could she keep that promise? What could one former Navy officer do against a pirate army? The colonists turned on the humans. It happened gradually, then all at once. "This is your fault." A Centaurian woman screamed at Sarah. "You humans and your wars. Your reputation.
You attracted them here."
If Earth hadn't fought the Kroll, if you had just surrendered, you wouldn't be known as warriors." Kroll the Vex shouted. "The Crimson Void came here because they knew humans would fight. They want human slaves because you're known as strong." More voices joined in. Angry voices. Scared voices. Looking for someone to blame. Sarah stood and faced them. Maya hid behind her. "You think we should have surrendered?" Sarah's voice cut through the noise. "You think we should have let the Kroll take Earth without a fight? Fine. Then Earth would be a slave world right now, and the Kroll would be here instead of the Crimson Void. Would that be better?" "At least they wouldn't have come to this colony," someone yelled. "They would have come eventually," Sarah shot back. "Pirates don't need excuses. They take what they want. That's what they do. Blaming us doesn't change what's happening." Governor Melthas stepped between them. "Please, fighting each other won't help. We need to stay together." But the damage was done. The colony was fracturing. Fear did that to people, made them cruel, made them desperate for someone to blame. Sarah took Maya and moved to a corner of the hall. Other humans gathered around them. About 300 total, men and women, young and old, all of them far from Earth, all of them waiting for rescue that might never come. One of them was an old man named Davis. He had been a Marine in the Kroll War. "You really think they're coming?" he asked Sarah quietly. "I have to believe it," Sarah said. "Even if they do," Davis said, "they can't get here in time. We have 2 hours. Then we hold for 2 hours. How?" Sarah didn't have an answer. The time crawled past. 1 hour remained. Then 30 minutes. Then 15. The pirates broadcast another message. "Prepare for collection. All children under age 15 will be transferred to our ships. Resistance will result in immediate execution of adults. You have 10 minutes." Parents held their children and wept. Some tried to hide them, but where could they hide? The pirates would search everywhere. Sarah held Maya and tried to think. There had to be something. Some way to fight back, some way to delay. 5 minutes. The sensors showed pirate landing craft descending through the atmosphere, 20 of them filled with soldiers and weapons. 2 minutes. Sarah kissed Maya's forehead. "I love you, baby. Remember that." "Mom." 1 minute, the landing craft touched down outside the colony walls. Sarah heard the massive doors beginning to open, heard the heavy footsteps of armed soldiers entering the compound. 30 seconds. Sarah closed her eyes. She had failed. Earth wasn't coming. The message had been a mistake or a lie or just false hope. The doors to the main hall burst open. Pirate soldiers in heavy armor poured inside, weapons ready. They moved with practiced efficiency, surrounding the colonists. A Krell officer stepped forward. His voice boomed through a translator. "All children under age 15 come forward now. Adults remain still or die." No one moved. The officer raised his weapon toward a Centaurian child. Then every alarm in the colony went off at once. The officer paused. He touched his helmet, listening to something. His 4 eyes went wide. He started screaming orders. The soldiers turned and ran. Just ran, leaving the colonists behind. Sarah grabbed a dropped communicator. She heard the chatter. Multiple FTL signatures. "How many?" 50+ contacts. "Capital ships. Closing fast." "Identification?" There was a pause. Then a voice filled with terror said, "Terran." Sarah's legs went weak. She looked at the ceiling, at the sky beyond. Earth had arrived. The pirate soldiers ran like the devil was chasing them. Sarah stood in the main hall and watched them go. Around her, the colonists stared in confusion. Children cried. Adults held each other. No one understood what was happening. "Did they leave?" someone asked. "Why would they leave?" another voice said. Sarah ran. She sprinted toward the communications center with Maya right behind her. She had to know. Had to see. The screens were alive with data. Sensor readings. Ship signatures. Impossible readings. Governor Melthas was already there, staring at the displays with his mouth open. "How?" he whispered. How is this possible? Sarah looked at the screen and felt tears run down her face. 52 ships, all of them broadcasting Terran identification codes, all of them massive. Dreadnoughts, battleships, carriers, destroyers, a full battle fleet, and they were moving at speeds that made no sense. The computer kept marking the readings as errors because ships didn't move that fast. They're here, Sarah breathed. Earth is here. The fleet's trajectory put them on intercept with the Crimson Void Armada in less than 10 minutes. 10 minutes. They had crossed 40 light years in 72 hours. That was impossible. The fastest known FTL drives needed weeks for that distance, but they had done it anyway. A transmission came through. The voice was calm, professional, with an accent Sarah recognized as West African. Attention, harmonies rest. This is Fleet Admiral Marcus Okoye of the Terran Defense Fleet, flagship Indomitable. We have your position. Hold tight. We're coming in. Sarah grabbed the transmitter. Admiral, this is Sarah Chen, former Lieutenant Commander, Earth Navy. Sir, they have hostages. Children. They're on the pirate ships. Confirmed, Commander Chen. We're aware. Tell your people to get away from the windows. This is about to get loud. The transmission switched frequencies. Now it was broadcasting on all channels. Every pirate ship, every colonist communicator, every sensor array in the system could hear it. Warlord Cresthar. This is Fleet Admiral Marcus Okoye of Earth. You have taken humans hostage. You have attacked a colony under Earth's protection. You have one chance. Release all hostages immediately and surrender your fleet. For a moment there was silence. Then Cresthar's voice came back, angry but amused. Admiral, how brave of Earth to send a fleet. But I count 52 ships. I have 150. Your math is poor, another pause. When Okoye spoke again, his voice was colder. You misunderstand. That wasn't a negotiation. It was a courtesy. Sarah heard the change in his tone. She remembered that sound from the Kroll War. That was the voice of someone who had already decided you were dead. Get down, she shouted to everyone in the communications center. Everyone on the ground now. They dropped. 3 seconds later, the world exploded with light. The Earth fleet opened fire. Sarah had seen space battles before. She had fought in them. But this was different. This was a display of power she didn't know humanity possessed. The destroyers fired first. Railguns that accelerated projectiles to a significant fraction of light speed. The rounds crossed the distance in seconds and slammed into pirate ships with the force of nuclear weapons. Shields meant nothing. Armor meant nothing. The ships just came apart. Then the battleships fired. Plasma torpedoes that burned white hot, tracking their targets with impossible accuracy. Point defense grids that threw up walls of tungsten fragments, shredding incoming missiles before they could get close. In 30 seconds, 20 pirate ships were gone. Just gone. Debris and bodies tumbling in the void. Cressthar's voice screamed over the channels. All ships return fire.
Kill them!
The Crimson Void Fleet responded. 130 ships against 52. They fired everything. Missiles, energy weapons, mass drivers. The space between the fleets lit up like a second sun, but the human ships moved like dancers. They slid between attacks, their point defense systems intercepting 99% of incoming fire. The few hits that landed splashed against shields that held firm. Sarah watched the tactical display in awe. They upgraded everything, she whispered. The drives, the weapons, the shields. Earth didn't just build new ships. They revolutionized them. Governor Meltha stared at the screen. They're not even slowing down. He was right. The human fleet drove straight into the pirate formation like a spear. The dreadnoughts led the way, their massive frames absorbing hits that would have destroyed smaller ships. Behind them, the carriers launched fighter craft, small fast ships that swarmed over pirate vessels like angry insects. Another 10 pirate ships died, then another 15. The battle had been going for 5 minutes and the Crimson Void had lost a third of their fleet. But then something changed. Cressthar's voice came over the channel again, and this time he was calm. Too calm. Admiral Okoye, I am impressed. Truly. But you seem to have forgotten something. The tactical display changed. Sarah's blood went cold. The pirate flagship's weapons weren't targeting human ships. They were targeting the surface. Targeting the colony. I have placed explosive devices on all hostages, Cresthar said. My heart rate triggers them. If I die, they die. And my ship's weapons are currently locked on your colony. If my ship is destroyed, they automatically fire. The human fleet's advance stopped. You can kill all my ships, Kresthar continued, but you cannot save your precious colonists. So here is my offer. You leave, now, or I paint that planet red. Sarah looked at Maya, at Governor Melthas, at all the people in the communications center. The human fleet hung in space, silent. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Mom? Maya's voice was small. Are they leaving? Sarah wanted to say no, wanted to promise it would be okay, but she didn't know. How could the fleet save them? If they attacked, everyone died. If they left, everyone became slaves. There was no good choice. Then Admiral Okoye's voice came back. Still calm. Still professional, Warlord Kresthar. We acknowledge your position. However, you've made one critical error in your calculations. And what is that? You assumed you were negotiating with people who negotiate. Before Kresthar could respond, the tactical display lit up with new contacts. Small signatures, dozens of them. They had launched from the carriers and were dropping toward the planet's surface. What are those? Melthas asked. Sarah's heart leaped. Drop pods. They're sending ground forces. The pods fell like meteors, burning through the atmosphere at insane speeds. The pirates on the ground opened fire, but the pods' shields deflected everything. They slammed into the ground around the compound where the hostages were held. Sarah switched the display to ground sensors. She watched the pods open. Men and women emerged. They wore armor that made them look like metal giants, humans enhanced with combat exoskeletons and advanced weapons. Colonial Marines. The best of the best. They moved like ghosts. Fast, silent, precise. Sarah counted 24 of them against over 200 pirates guarding the hostages. The pirates didn't stand a chance. Contact front. A calm voice said over the tactical channel. Engaging. The Marines' weapons made sounds like thunder. Pirates fell. Some tried to run. Some tried to fight. It didn't matter. Within 2 minutes, half the pirate force was down. The lead Marine's voice came through. Eagle Actual to Indomitable. We have visual on hostages. 48 children, various species. They're rigged with explosives. Need bomb disposal now. Acknowledged, Eagle Actual. How much time? There was a pause. Sarah heard weapons fire in the background. Dead man switches, sir. They're synced to the guards' vitals. We took down the guards. Switches activate in 60 seconds. Sarah stopped breathing. 60 seconds. They had 60 seconds to disarm 48 bombs. Can you do it? Okoye's voice was steady. We'll find out, sir. Eagle team on me. Bomb disposal pattern Delta, move. The Marines dropped their weapons and ran to the children. Sarah watched them work, their armored hands impossibly gentle as they examined the explosive collars. These are Krell design, one Marine said. I need 15 seconds per collar. You have 40 seconds total, the team leader replied. So work faster. Copy that, sir. The Marines worked. Their fingers moved with machine precision, cutting wires, disabling triggers, removing collars. Sarah watched the countdown. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. On the screen, she could see the little blonde girl, the one from Kresithar's message. A Marine knelt beside her, working on her collar. It's okay, sweetheart, the Marine said gently. We're from Earth. We're here to take you home. The girl was crying. My mommy, we'll find your mommy. I promise. Now hold very still. 10 seconds. Sarah gripped Maya's hand so hard it must have hurt. But Maya didn't complain. They both watched the screen. 5 seconds. The Marines ripped the last collar free and threw it. All 48 collars arced through the air, away from the children. 3 seconds. The Marines grabbed the children and ran. 1 second. The collars exploded. The blast was enormous, but it was 50 feet away from the hostages. The Marines' armor absorbed the shockwave. When the dust cleared, all the children were safe. Eagle Actual to Indomitable. Hostages secured. I say again, hostages secured. Sarah heard cheering in the background. The Marines were celebrating. On the channel, Admiral Okoye's voice returned. Now there was emotion in it, relief. And something harder, something cold and final. Confirmed Eagle Actual. Excellent work, he paused. Then his voice changed. All ships. The hostages are safe. Weapons free. I say again, weapons free. The human fleet was no longer playing nice. Sarah watched the tactical display and saw what Earth had become in the 15 years since the Kroll War. Saw what humanity had built in secret while the galaxy assumed they were weak. The 5 dreadnoughts moved forward. Each one was 3 miles long, bristling with weapons that no other species possessed. They fired in sequence. their main guns creating beams of concentrated plasma that cut through space like knives through paper. The first beam hit a pirate cruiser. The ship's shields flared, held for half a second, then collapsed. The beam continued through the hull, through the reactor, through the other side. The cruiser exploded from the inside out. The second beam hit two ships that were flying too close together. It went through both of them. The third, fourth, and fifth beams found their targets just as easily. In 10 seconds, 8 more pirate ships were gone. "Impossible," Governor Melthos whispered. "Those weapons. That power output. How did they develop this?" Sarah shook her head. "We knew we couldn't afford to be weak again. After the Kroll, Earth's government stopped fighting each other and focused everything on one goal: make sure no one ever pushed us around again." On the screen, the human carriers launched another wing of fighters. These weren't the fighters Sarah remembered from 15 years ago. They were faster, more maneuverable, covered in stealth plating. The pirate point defense systems couldn't even track them properly. The fighters swarmed over a pirate battleship like wolves on a wounded animal. They targeted weak points, engine mounts, sensor arrays, weapon hardpoints. Within a minute, the battleship was crippled, drifting helplessly. They moved to the next target. Cresisthar's voice screamed over the channels. "All ships focus fire on their flagship. Bring down the Indomitable." 50 pirate ships turned their weapons on the massive dreadnought leading the human formation. Missiles, energy weapons, mass drivers, everything they had. The Indomitable's point defense grid activated. Thousands of small turrets tracked and fired. Missiles exploded before they could get close. Energy beams were deflected by shields. Mass driver rounds were intercepted by clouds of tungsten fragments. A few hits got through. The Indomitable's shields flared bright blue, absorbing the impacts. Shields at 87%. A calm voice reported on the tactical channel. Admiral Okoye's response was just as calm. "Return fire. All batteries." The Indomitable's broadside lit up. 50 weapon ports firing at once. The pirate ships that had targeted her simply ceased to exist. One moment they were there, firing desperately. The next moment they were expanding clouds of debris. The Crimson Void fleet was breaking. Ships started to run. They turned away from the human fleet and accelerated toward the edge of the system, toward the FTL jump points. "They're retreating," someone in the communication center shouted. But Sarah saw the look on Admiral Okoye's face on the display. He wasn't done. "Pursuit pattern echo," the Admiral ordered. "No one leaves." "I want every single ship, sir," one of his officers said. "If we pursue, we'll leave the colony undefended." "Cresisthar's flagship is still active." "The flagship isn't going anywhere," Okoye replied. "I'm about to make sure of that." On the tactical display, the Indomitable changed course. It was heading straight for Cresisthar's flagship. The warlord's voice came through, no longer calm. "You're insane. If you destroy my ship, the automatic targeting system will fire on the colony. Your people will die." "I know," Okoye said. "That's why I'm not going to destroy your ship." The Indomitable accelerated. Faster and faster. Sarah checked the readings and her eyes went wide. "He's using the new drive," she breathed. Inside the system. "That's not safe." The Indomitable vanished. It reappeared 3 seconds later, right next to Cresisthar's flagship, so close that their shields were almost touching. "What?" Cresithar started to say. The Indomitable fired, not its main weapons. Something else. Some kind of electromagnetic pulse that Sarah had never seen before. It washed over the pirate flagship like a wave. Every system on Cresithar's ship went dark. Weapons, engines, shields, life support, everything. "Tractor beam," Admiral Okoye ordered. A beam of blue light shot from the Indomitable and grabbed the pirate flagship. The massive dreadnought began pulling it away from the planet, away from the colony. "You can't..." Cresithar's voice was panicked now. "My ship will explode." "The reactor is already shut down," Okoye interrupted. "Your ship is dead. Your weapons are offline. Your automatic targeting system is disabled. You're done," Sarah understood. The Admiral had neutralized the threat without destroying the ship. No explosion, no automatic firing. Just a clean capture. It was brilliant. On the ground at Harmony's Rest, Maya tugged her mother's sleeve. "Mom, look." Sarah turned to look at the live feed from the compound. The Marines had gathered all the rescued children. They were being loaded onto transport shuttles that had landed nearby. Medical personnel checked each child while Marines stood guard. The little blonde girl was talking to the Marine who had saved her. He had removed his helmet. He was young, maybe 25, with dark skin and kind eyes. "What's your name, sir?" the girl asked. "Captain James Rodriguez," he said gently. "But you can call me James. What's yours?" "Emma. That's a beautiful name. Emma, we're going to take you somewhere safe now, and then we're going to find your parents. Okay?" Emma nodded, then hugged him. Captain Rodriguez picked her up carefully, his armored hands somehow gentle despite their size. Sarah felt tears on her face. Maya hugged her. In space, the battle was ending. The pirate ships that had tried to run were being chased down by human destroyers. One by one, they were being captured or destroyed. The human ships were so much faster that the pirates had no chance of escape. A few pirate captains tried to surrender. They broadcast messages of submission, offering to release their captives and turn themselves in. The human fleet accepted some surrenders. But not from the ships that had participated in taking the children. Those ships were given one chance to release any remaining hostages. After that, they were destroyed. Admiral Okoye's voice was cold when he gave those orders. "You took children. You put bombs on them. There is no forgiveness for that." Sarah understood. So did Governor Malthus. Even some of the alien colonists nodded in agreement. There were lines you didn't cross. Taking children was one of them. The battle lasted another hour. When it ended, the Crimson Void Armada was gone. Out of 150 ships, only 40 had survived to surrender. The rest were debris. The human fleet had lost 0 ships. 0. A few had taken damage, but nothing critical. It wasn't a battle. It was an execution. Sarah walked outside with Maya and the other colonists. The sky was clear now. The debris field was too far away to see with naked eyes. But above them, majestic and proud, the Earth fleet held position. The Indomitable was the largest. Sarah could see it even from the ground, a bright star that didn't move like the others. "Is it over?" Maya asked. "It's over," Sarah confirmed. Governor Malthus joined them. His blue face was troubled. "I owe you an apology," he said to Sarah. "To all the humans, I doubted you. I thought Earth abandoned you." "I was wrong." "You weren't wrong to doubt," Sarah replied. "It was impossible. They shouldn't have been able to get here this fast. But they did." "But they did," Sarah agreed. A transport shuttle landed nearby. More Marines emerged, these ones setting up a field hospital. Medical supplies, food, water, everything the colony needed. One of the Marines approached Governor Malthus. "Sir, I'm Lieutenant Davis, Terran Colonial Marines. Admiral Okoye requests your presence aboard the Indomitable. He wants to ensure your colony has everything it needs for recovery." Malthus looked stunned. "The Admiral wants to meet with me?" "Yes, sir. You're the Colonial Governor. The Admiral wants to coordinate relief efforts." Yes, of course. Whenever you're ready, sir. We have a shuttle standing by." Malthus turned to Sarah. "Will you come with me?" "As a representative of the human colonists?" Sarah looked at Maya. She didn't want to leave her daughter, not after coming so close to losing her. "Bring your daughter," Lieutenant Davis said, reading her expression. "Bring anyone you want." The Admiral said all colonists are welcome aboard. So Sarah and Maya boarded the shuttle with Governor Malthus and a dozen other colony representatives. The shuttle lifted smoothly and accelerated toward the Indomitable. As they approached, Sarah got her first close look at the massive dreadnought. It was beautiful in a deadly way, all sharp angles and armor plating studded with weapons. The name Indomitable was painted on the hull in letters 100 feet tall. Under the name was a phrase in smaller letters. Sarah had to squint to read it. "No one left behind. No ally abandoned. Article 7. Written on the hull so everyone could see it. The shuttle docked in one of the smaller bays. Marines guided them through corridors that were clean, efficient, and full of purpose. Crew members moved with practiced efficiency. Everyone they passed nodded respectfully to the colonists. They reached the bridge. The doors opened. Admiral Marcus Okoye stood in the center studying tactical displays. He was tall, maybe 50 years old, with gray in his hair and old scars on his face. He wore a simple uniform with minimal decorations. When he saw them enter, he smiled. "Governor Malthus, welcome aboard the Indomitable." His voice was the same one Sarah had heard over the radio, calm, professional, but warm. 2 days after the battle, Sarah stood in the reconstructed communications center and watched Earth's ships work. The Indomitable remained in high orbit, a watchful guardian. Around it, smaller ships moved like busy insects. Construction vessels installed new defense satellites. Medical ships ferried colonists back and forth for treatment. Supply ships delivered food, medicine, building materials. The colony that had been dying was now alive with activity. Maya sat nearby, playing with a holographic game one of the Marines had given her. She was laughing. Sarah hadn't heard her daughter laugh like that in days. "Maybe weeks. Commander Chen?" Sarah turned. Captain Rodriguez stood in the doorway, his armor replaced with a simple duty uniform. The young Marine who had saved Emma and the other children looked tired but satisfied. "Just Sarah, please. I'm not in the Navy anymore." "Yes, ma'am, Sarah." He smiled. "Admiral Okoye asked me to find you. There's someone who wants to meet you." Sarah followed him outside. The colony compound had changed dramatically. The damaged buildings were being repaired by construction drones. The main square, which had been full of frightened colonists, now held tables where people ate real food, not ration bars. And everywhere, humans and aliens worked together. A Centaurian helped a human engineer install a power conduit. A Vex doctor worked alongside a human medic. A Tolan teacher played with human and alien children alike. The fear was gone. In its place was something Sarah hadn't expected. Hope. Captain Rodriguez led her to the landing pad where a shuttle had just arrived. The ramp lowered and people emerged. Colonists who had been on the pirate ships when the battle started. Freed captives coming home. Sarah saw Emma run to a Centaurian woman who was crying and laughing at the same time. Mother and daughter reunited. "That's what I wanted you to see," Rodriguez said quietly. "We found all of them. Every single colonist who was taken. They're all coming home." Sarah felt her throat tighten. "All of them?" "Everyone. Some were on ships that surrendered. Some we had to pull off ships we boarded. A few were in the flagship's brig. But we got them all." He paused. "That's what Article 7 means, everyone, no exceptions." Another shuttle landed. More colonists emerged. An old Vex man stumbled down the ramp and collapsed. His family rushed to him, holding him, weeping. Sarah watched reunion after reunion. She thought about what the galaxy had been like before this moment. Thought about all the colonies that had called for help and been ignored. All the people who had been taken by pirates or conquered by empires because help was too far away, or too expensive, or too risky. Earth had changed that. Maybe not for everyone, not yet. But here on Harmony's Rest, Earth had changed everything. "Sarah." She turned and saw Governor Melthas hurrying toward her. His face was bright with excitement. "Sarah, you need to come with me now. The Admiral is making an announcement. Everyone needs to hear this." They gathered in the main square. All 47,000 colonists, plus the 1,000 Earth personnel who had come to help. The crowd was too large, so they set up screens throughout the compound. Admiral Okoye appeared on every screen. He stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, with the stars visible behind him through the viewport. "People of Harmony's Rest," he began. 2 days ago you faced annihilation. Today you are free. Your colony is secure. Your people are home." Cheering erupted from the crowd. Okoye waited for it to quiet. "I want you to understand something. What happened here wasn't special. It wasn't extraordinary. This is what Earth does now. This is what we've committed ourselves to." He gestured and the image changed. It showed a map of known space with hundreds of worlds marked. These are all the colonies, stations, and outposts that have human populations. Some have thousands of humans. Some have only a handful. It doesn't matter. They're all under Earth's protection, and now, with your permission, Harmony's Rest will join that network. Governor Melthas stepped up to a microphone that had been set up. "Admiral, what does that mean exactly?" "It means Earth will establish a permanent defense station in your system. A small one, nothing invasive. Just enough to provide early warning and rapid response if threats emerge. It means regular supply runs. It means access to Earth's trade networks, educational programs, medical resources. And most importantly, it means you'll never be alone again." "What do you ask in return?" Melthas asked. The question hung in the air. Sarah knew what the galaxy expected. Protection always came with a price. Tribute, resources, political control. That's how it worked with every other major power. Okoye smiled. "Nothing. Silence. Absolute silence. Nothing." Melthas repeated. "Nothing," Okoye confirmed. "Harmony's Rest remains independent. Your government answers to your people, not to Earth. We ask only that you allow us to station the defense platform and conduct regular patrols. That's all." The crowd erupted. Colonists shouted questions. How could Earth afford this? Why would they do this for free? What was the catch? Admiral Okoye raised his hand for quiet. I see your confusion. Let me explain. 15 years ago, Earth learned a hard lesson. We learned what it means to stand alone, to fight alone, to die alone. We learned that lesson in blood and fire, and we will never forget it. His voice grew harder. The galaxy is full of predators. Pirates, slavers, conquerors. They prey on the weak. They take what they want. They destroy what they don't need. For too long, that's been the way of things. The strong devour the weak and everyone else looks away. Earth refuses to look away. The image changed again. Now it showed the Crimson Void Fleet being destroyed, pirate ships exploding in space. This is what happens to those who prey on the innocent. This is what happens to those who take children and put bombs on them. This is what happens to those who think the galaxy is theirs to plunder. Okoye's eyes blazed with cold fire. Earth has the power now. The technology, the ships, the weapons. We could use that power to conquer, to build an empire, to take what we want the way everyone else does. We choose not to. We choose to protect instead of plunder, to save instead of enslave, to build instead of destroy, because that's what separates civilization from barbarism. That's what makes us human. Sarah felt chills run down her spine. Around her, colonists were crying. Even the aliens who had blamed humans for attracting the pirates were crying. So no, Governor Melthus, we ask nothing in return. Okoye continued. Your freedom is not for sale. Your independence is not conditional. Help from Earth is not a transaction. It's a right we extend to everyone under our protection. He paused, then added quietly, because no one should have to beg for help while their world burns. No one should have to watch their children taken while they wait for salvation that never comes. We know what that feels like, and we're making damn sure no one else has to feel it. The screens went dark. For a moment, no one moved. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then everyone. The applause was deafening. Humans and aliens alike, celebrating not just their rescue but what it represented. A promise, a change, a better future. Sarah found herself clapping too, with tears streaming down her face. Maya hugged her mother's waist. Mom, Earth is amazing, Maya said. Yeah, baby, it really is. Over the next 2 weeks, Sarah watched Earth's promise become reality. Engineers installed a defense platform in orbit, bristling with weapons and sensors. Medical teams treated every colonist who needed help for free. Construction crews repaired every damaged building. But more than that, they stayed. The Marines patrolled the colony. The engineers taught colonists how to maintain the new systems. The doctors trained local medical staff. The teachers ran classes for the children. They didn't act like conquerors or even saviors. They acted like neighbors, like friends. Sarah saw Captain Rodriguez playing soccer with colony children. She saw Admiral Okoye sharing drinks with Governor Melthus, talking about agriculture and weather patterns. She saw human and alien crews working side by side, laughing and joking. This was Article 7, not just the military response, but everything after. The commitment to help, to stay, to care. On the 14th day, the fleet prepared to leave. Most of it anyway. One destroyer would remain on permanent station, along with the defense platform crew. Sarah stood on the landing pad with Maya and watched the massive ships prepare for departure. The Indomitable was last, hanging in orbit like a guardian angel. Admiral Okoye's final transmission played over every speaker in the colony. People of Harmony's Rest, this is Admiral Okoye. The Rapid Response Fleet is departing. But you are not alone. The destroyer Vigilant will remain on station. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen has agreed to serve as the Earth Liaison Officer for your colony. Sarah's eyes widened. She had agreed to no such thing. But when she checked her communicator, there was a message from the Admiral. Commander Chen, I reviewed your service record. You're exactly what this colony needs. Someone who understands both Earth and the frontier. Someone they trust. The job is yours if you want it. No pressure. Think about it. Sarah looked at Maya, who was grinning. Can we stay, Mom? Please. Sarah thought about it. Thought about going back to Earth, to the crowds in the cities and the memories of war. Then she thought about staying here on this small colony at the edge of space, helping to build something new. Yeah, she said. Yeah, I think we can stay. The Indomitable's engines flared bright blue.